Video contains minor spoilers for attracting purposes. You have been warned. Alright, Degens, this is how I basically felt after finishing this VN.
Alright, well, what kind of cat do you want? FBI, open up!
Aokana Extra 1 is the sequel to Mashiro's route from the main Aokana. And if I could summarize the story here, it's basically a cat girl who's insecure about her relationship with her owner, so she wants to strengthen the collar that ties her to him. Figuratively speaking. And since the MILF suggested it, the said cat girl plans to go out on a date with her owner and seeks out help from the other waifus, who are surprisingly part of the competition, in order to prepare herself for the particular date. This VN has a short yet really sweet kind of story, and my playtime is around 3 hours and 44 minutes. Recorded with VN Manager, with my text speed all the way up to the right. VNDB's recorded average playtime though is around 6 hours. They're pretty much the same as the main Aokana VN, the atmosphere, the music, the design. Getting to play the game and see waifus in quad HD is always a treat to the eyes. My condolences to whoever might be offended that I couldn't play in 1440p, but I think that QHD monitors are getting cheaper now. Don't take my word for it though. Next, I want to point my feelings about something in the sprite viewer, that is...
That bloody thing survives.
Is sprite trolling? Cause there's a goddamn lot of them there. After that, one added feature that I really like and appreciate is the voice bookmark, which is different than your standard save files because it just saves the voice of the character, not the scene itself. Plus, it's saved in a different page, so you can use the bookmark for the voices while the saved files are for the regular scenes. How you bookmark a voice is just by clicking the most top button that was added in the UI here, and it'll be saved, just like those quick saves. This is a huge help for us VNTubers because if you want to include just the voices in our videos, then we can just go to the bookmark page without taking up space for the regular save files. So I thank the developers for including this feature. However, one thing that I don't thank the developers for is the existence of the curse of all VNs. The muting individuals page. Excuse me, give me a second. I hope Extra 2 doesn't have this monstrosity. And again, you can mute individuals, but you can't mute the master volume. Fine work there, Sprite. You need to set your priorities straight. And speaking of priorities, translation was good throughout the game. No encounter of grammatical errors or spelling mistakes. Good job, translators.
Good job!
Lastly, I want to mention about the sprites in this VN. They move a lot more than the main Aokana visual novel, especially in the kitchen here. This kind of attention to detail is just so nice to see. So I appreciate that the developers didn't half-assed this VN when they're making it. I decided to mix the main and the side characters into one section because I don't think I need to explain about them much. They're just like how they were in the main story. The only difference will be the categorization of the characters because since this is the after story for Mashiro, so naturally the main characters will only be limited to Mashiro and Masaya, while the other waifus take a back seat as side characters. So if you want to learn about them more, I'll leave a card up here that will lead to the main outcome of it. Regardless, I will still say some stuff about the characters that you could experience in this VN. Let's first talk about the main characters. And as for the protagonist, Masaya Hinata, fucking hell, he's a lucky bastard now. I didn't call him that in my main Aokana vid, but he's definitely one now. He has a girlfriend, but he is still surrounded by the other girls. I mean, not that it's a bad thing, but when you read something like this from Misaki,
真白が彼女ってことに異論はないんだけど、マサヤハーレムには私たち愛人もいるわけじゃない？
even if it's a joke, the envious feeling is still there. But I see it as a good thing though, because it gave Mashiro an objective which led to the creation of this after story after all. Still, I respect the MC for not falling into temptation from the other waifus. The MC's development as a character himself was okay. I would have liked to see more of it, but it's enough. Though I'll save my words for the general opinion section. Then we have the target of this VN. the twin-tailed Kohai loli. We get to see her character development more in depth because there is a considerable number of scenes played from Mashiro's perspective in the story. Her sweetness and her cuteness are still there, but take it out a notch. And her role-playing was added a lot, but it's not just limited to just cats. Just play the damn game to find out. As for the side characters, Rika is mom material as usual, the true waifu. Asuka is, well, Asuka. And Misaki is a cat person and mischievous as always. I love her. As for the forbidden fruit, never mind. But honestly though, I don't like how she was treated in the story. Yeah, it fits her character so well, but well, if you know, you know. Besides Madoka, I gotta say, I like Arika's and Minori's characters in this story. Love their character interactions and scenes. And speaking of scenes, obviously the best scenes are with the MILF. I'm so grateful that developers didn't neglect her. You can't leave out the best feature of Mashiro's story, especially since she played a major role even in the main VN. You know that feeling when you have a girlfriend and then suddenly a new obstacle comes up, which is her hot mother? I don't have it since I'm single, but I can sympathize at least. Oh yeah, Shindo is also in this VN for a comeback, and despite his screen time being short, I liked every single bit of it. Just wish it was longer. Story structure is obviously linear, duh, because it's the after story for Mashiro. But there is one point at which you get to pick between two choices, though I think it was just useless overall because it doesn't really change anything. Not the story or even the character interaction. It was just some monologue and that's it. So the reason why those particular choices exist? Who knows? Ask Sprite. Could have gotten rid of those choices and put that small budget for something else like, oh, I don't know, a mute button for the master volume perhaps? Truth be told, don't expect a heavy story in Extra 1. It's simple and standard, but that is literally the main idea why this VN exists. So how the story was told, the execution comes into play. And I gotta say, it's good. It's really good. I loved every single bit of it. Pacing was nice, and each character is meaningful to the story and has good amount of screen time, according to the roles that they play. I like the balance between focusing on Mashiro and on the other characters. Like the side characters weren't neglected in the slightest to me, except for one. She appears but only as illustrations, so I guess that Sprite didn't have enough budget for her seiyuu, lol. Still, I demand justice for Ganeko Mayu. One thing I want to say though, is that the role-playing in this after story occurs more often than the main story, which is not unwelcomed of course. It serves the purpose of fan service. Justified fan service. And speaking of fan service, naturally you would think that it comes from Mashiro, since this is her story. No. The real fan service comes from the MILF. Fucking thank you, Sprite. Seriously, if you know, you know. If you don't know, go fucking play it. But after watching this vid. As for the MC's perspective, it's also not neglected because there is some relevance to his character as an FC prodigy. Not shown, but it's mentioned. So I think that is enough for his character development. Plus, he was also preparing himself for the date, not just Mashiro. And finally, the ending. No complaints. Wholesome and sweet, and it brought all the characters involved together. Loved it. Honestly speaking, the only complaints I have for this van are just nitpickings, which aren't even major. Like for example, Ganeko Mayu's character and the lack of Masaya's scenes in flight. Well, I understand that this story is focused towards the relationship between Mashiro and Masaya, but I would have liked to see the MC's character development in scenes rather than just in words. It's just like my nitpicking in the main Aokana vid. Even just showing one scene of the MC flying would be nice, would be enough already. If they got rid of that muting individuals page, probably they could add one CG for the MC flying, I don't know. And speaking of flying, I think there are less Aokana vibes in this after story in terms of the flying scenes. There are some scenes in the sky, but low in number, which I feel sad about because I love those scenes shot in the air. It doesn't even need to be FC related, just flying in the air. You know, those scenes where the sprites are positioned horizontally in mid-air. I miss those scenes. That being said, these complaints are just nitpickings and are minor, so just take them lightly. As for the good stuff, role-playing, duh! My reaction to those moments be like...
何を言ってる。
赤くなった。
Kaicho wa Maid sama, meet your junior maid Cat Lolly. After that, character interaction, which I highly value in a story. And Aokana being Aokana, the character interactions were superb. No complaints. In fact, I think the character interactions increased my liking towards the two side characters who are Arika and Minori. I did find them to be slightly annoying in the main story, but rarely. And the after story here just made their characters much more likable. I appreciate that. Plus, you even get some Yuri and Yaoi actions that give me a few grins. Lastly, I want to mention about the technical stuff again. The CGs are brilliant as always, cinematography is beautiful, the added sprite movements are just so nice to look at. And speaking of sprites, this fucking new face of Mashiro surprised the shit out of me. I definitely didn't expect that. And I don't think you would expect it either, even when you know it now, because it just came out of nowhere. As for the music, amazing as always. And I love that there is like a boss battle music in the wrong kind of scenes or the right kind of scenes, depending on how you view it. But regardless, it still works because it adds to the humor. What's that? You want me to talk about horny scenes in a VN that features a lolly? Ha ha ha! No. Let's get to the conclusion.
Why isn't it possible? It's just not. Why not, you stupid bastard?
Okay, fine. They're just like the usual. Not really any different aside from the added roleplay. The positions are BJ, 6ix9ine, Cowgirl, and Doggy. Wait. Doggy, Catgirl. Doggy, Cat. Fuck! As for the length of the scenes, they're short to me. Just like Mashiro's height. Thank God for that. But just in case, in order to wash away your sins and my own, here's the real fun part. There! Can we get to the conclusion now? Akino, transition please. To conclude, Aokana Extra 1 is a diabetic, wholesome, and moe visual novel. Even if I think that this after story is just a cash grab so that Sprite could milk us. Especially since when you read this in the description. But god damn it, the milk is tasty. The milk though comes from Botan. So you guys should play this VN not for the lolly but for the milk. And to those that already have played it, well, we all know the reason why. And thanks again to the developers for making Extra 1 just as good as the main Aokana VN. Anyway, the Degen score is 8.5. And that's all from me. Hope you guys can like and subscribe if my content is degenerate enough. Later, gents.